Have you ever seen what a foot looks like? Because it doesn't look like this. Shoes have only looked a certain way my whole life. They're shoe-shaped. There's nothing much to it. They look fairly regular. There's nothing crazy about shoes. I mean, you just wear them to protect your feet when you're outside, right? But recently I spent some time looking into foot-shaped shoes, or otherwise known as wide toe box shoes, and they have a very different design. At first they might even look odd, you may even call them ugly, but if you really look at them, they start to look like what a foot is meant to look like. Normal shoes tend to be referred to as narrow shoes, because they're too narrow. I know we don't see it too often these days, and I'm pretty sure I only ever saw these pictures when I was a kid, but the drawing of a foot tends to always have a very wide top section, a very thin middle section, and a normal sized heel. When you look up a picture of a foot, which I'm sure some of you nasty bastards do, a lot of the pictures are people with flat feet. Basically what I'm saying here is that most people have bad feet, and when you look up feet, you see incorrect depictions of feet. Well, I guess not incorrect, but you'll get what I'm saying in a minute here. These drawings of feet are a little bit exaggerated, but this is mostly what they're meant to look like. The thin middle section only looks so small because of how wide our toes are meant to spread. And when our toes do spread, it causes the middle of the foot to raise, creating an arch. That's really important for your knees and your hips and all that stuff. If you've ever seen a squat university video whilst doom scrolling on the toilet, you would have seen how a lot of these people have had really flat feet. I mean, their feet basically look like flippers, and whenever they try to squat, they just can't do it properly. Once they spread their toes, mostly the big toe, they're able to load up a ton of weight and then kiss the ground with their ass. And if I haven't made it clear enough yet, these narrow shoes that we're used to are making our feet worse. They squeeze our toes, putting constant pressure on them, forcing them to change into a whole new shape. In Australia, people are barefoot whenever they can be, so messed up feet is less common, but it's still an issue. Though I may have found a solution. Wide toe box shoes. I know I showed them before, but they really do look more natural than narrow shoes. The obvious conclusion of this video is that wide toe box shoes are better for you and everyone should go buy them. But is it that simple? Not exactly. I have some gripes here and I'll get to the most obvious and I guess the most petty one first. That being, there's no brick and mortar stores that are actually selling these wide shoes. There are probably some in other countries and there are probably one or two in my own, but there aren't any near me, so I had to get mine online. Buying shoes online is like a blind date. You don't really know what you're gonna get and it's a bit of a gamble. I know the big brands do claim that they sell wide shoes, but if you just look at them, you know that they're barely wider than the normal narrow shoe and they're definitely not anything close to the other wide toe box shoes I was showing before. I own 3 pairs of wide toe box shoes, though the zero shoes don't even seem wide. I think they're actually just meant to be barefoot shoes, which are technically different. I think the difference is that these are lower to the ground without any cushioning, hence the barefoot part of the name, but they do also have a slightly wider toe box. But the toe box is only wide enough for the toes to not be squished, rather than my other shoes which allow my toes to spread within the shoe itself. So I won't recommend those, but they might have other pairs, I don't know. The ones I do want to talk about are the Astra and the Notorious Lift. They're both good, I'll say that straight away. The flaws they do have are probably my own fault for buying incorrect sizes. The Notorious Lift are flat like the Zero shoes and they have no cushioning. They're also kind of called gym slippers, I think that's like a nickname that the company gives them. They're gym shoes made for deadlifting, but personally I use them for squats. They have a wider toe box that really makes a difference on squats. I mean, it's night and day. I wasn't too sure if I liked them at first, mostly because they are slightly too long. They kind of feel like flippers, but once I got used to them, they were perfect. The Astras are made for running, so they actually do have a lot of cushioning. They're now my go-to casual wear, and I of course wear them when I'm doing cardio. I know you probably don't think I do cardio, but I do. Though with these, I'm mostly annoyed that the Australian online store is different than the US one. In US, they have an option that lets you pick between the normal size and then a slightly wider size. I'm assuming that refers to the middle section of the shoe because mine are bloody tight. Again, I think I bought the wrong size, so it's probably my fault, so I won't complain, but I'm sure there are versions of these shoes with a wider midsection. I should also add that the Notorious Lift shoes are extremely thin, which means that the tip of the shoe has less filler space, whatever you call it. I don't know, that little bit that you can poke and you know your toes aren't there. That means the shoe's length might not be extreme, but when I stick my foot in it, I can then bend it. Why did I put that in the script? That just sounds so weird. Also, the Astras make your shoelaces longer. There's no reason for them to be that short. Actually, they're not that bad. It was the Zeros that were really short. Why? Why make shoelaces short? Just make them longer. I don't get it. So, yay or nay to wide toe box shoes? I mean, yeah, definitely get them if you can. Just keep in mind the shoe size. I'm sure you'll get the right ones unless you're dumb like me. There are plenty of bad brands that I stumbled across when trying to buy these shoes, so be careful of those. I think the Astras are great for their price, under 200 Australian dollars. Typical sports shoes cost about the same much, and then if you want something that looks really good, you just have to pay a lot more, I guess. If you have bad feet and you want to fix it by spreading your toes more often, get toe spacers. There are some cheap ones on Amazon that I got and I don't use them because they're cheap and they're bad. The rubber ones suck to put on, but I think there are some good ones that are much easier to use. You're better off getting those just because you'll be more likely to actually use them. I don't need them personally, but I heard that you can warm up for a leg day by putting them on and then walking around for a bit. I guess it forces your toes to spread before you lift and then you have more power with your feet or something, I don't know. But yeah, that's it. Invest in yourself, it's worth it. That sounded cringe.